Have you ever noticed something strange?
There are people who earn $30,000 a year and people who earn $3 million a year, yet both of them often say the same thing.
I don't feel successful. I don't feel successful.
How is that possible? How can someone spend years chasing their dream life, finally get it, and still feel like they're losing? The answer is disturbing, because the feeling of not being enough isn't a problem you solve. It's a game your brain was designed to lose, and right now, without even realizing it, you might be playing that game too. And if you've ever looked at someone else's life and quietly wondered, why does it seem like everyone is moving faster than me? Then this story might change the way you see yourself forever. Because to understand this game, we need to meet two friends, Jake and Ryan. Neither of them knew they were playing until it was already controlling their lives.
Ready for school, Ryan? Yeah, let's race to the playground. You're on.
Jake and Ryan grew up together, same neighborhood, same school, same dreams. As kids, they spent hours sitting on an old bench near the park, talking about the future, talking about success, talking about the day they would finally make it. Back then, life felt simple. Neither of them had much money, neither of them had status, but somehow, neither of them felt behind, because when you're young, you don't measure your life against everyone else. You simply live it. As the years passed, both of them worked hard. Both of them wanted a better future. Both of them believed the same thing. One day, when I'm successful, I'll finally feel enough. Then life started moving. And it didn't move at the same speed for both of them. Ryan got his first big opportunity, then another, slowly. The gap between them began to grow, not huge, just enough to notice. And without realizing it, that was the day the game began. One evening, Jake was lying on his couch, scrolling through his phone. Nothing unusual, just another normal day. Then he saw Ryan's latest post, a beautiful apartment, a huge smile, and a caption that said, "Dreams really do come true." Jake smiled. He was genuinely happy for his friend. Ryan deserved it. He had worked hard. Jake pressed like, put his phone down, and went to bed. But sleep never came, because something strange had happened. A few minutes earlier, Jake liked his life. Now, it felt smaller. His apartment suddenly felt ordinary. His paycheck felt ordinary. Even his achievements felt ordinary. Nothing had changed. The same apartment, the same job, the same life. Yet somehow, everything felt worse. Why? Because comparison had entered the room. And once comparison enters, peace quietly leaves. At the time, Jake thought the problem was Ryan's success. Years later, he would discover that Ryan was never the problem. The years passed. Jake kept working, kept pushing, kept chasing. Eventually, the things he once dreamed about started becoming reality. He got promoted, earned more money, moved into a better place. The younger version of Jake would have been amazed. Then one afternoon, Jake received the biggest promotion of his career. He couldn't stop smiling. For years, this had been the goal. He called his parents. He celebrated. He felt proud. For a moment, life felt perfect. Then he opened his phone. Ryan had just announced something bigger, a bigger promotion, a bigger achievement, a bigger success. And something painful happened. Jake's happiness disappeared. Not slowly, instantly, as if someone had switched off a light. 5 minutes earlier, Jake felt successful. 5 minutes later, he felt like he was losing. The promotion hadn't changed. Only the comparison had. That night, Jake stared at the ceiling for hours, not because his life was bad, but because someone else's life suddenly looked better. And that's when comparison revealed its true power. It doesn't steal your achievements. It steals your ability to enjoy them. Years went by. Jake continued climbing, continued chasing, continued achieving. And eventually, something surprising happened. He reached many of the goals he once thought would change everything. For a short time, he felt satisfied. Then his mind found someone new, a successful entrepreneur, a CEO, a millionaire, always someone ahead, always someone with more. That's when Jake noticed something strange. The more successful he became, the worse the problem got, because every time he reached a destination, his mind created another one. Every victory became a starting line. Every achievement became normal. Every dream became yesterday. And suddenly, Jake understood why so many successful people still feel empty. They never stopped running. The finish line wasn't moving because life was unfair. The finish line was moving because his mind kept moving it. And for the first time, Jake wondered this game was impossible to win. One rainy evening, Jake met Ryan for dinner, the same Ryan he had spent years envying, the same Ryan whose life looked perfect online. They talked about work, life, family, nothing unusual. Then Ryan became quiet. He stared out the window, as if he was thinking about something. Then he said something Jake never expected to hear. "Honestly, sometimes I wish I had your life." Jake laughed. He thought Ryan was joking. Ryan wasn't. He talked about the pressure, the expectations, the stress, the long hours, the constant feeling that no matter how much he achieved, it was never enough. Then Ryan looked down at the table and quietly said, "I still feel behind." Jake froze. Behind who? Ryan was the successful one. Ryan was the person everyone admired. Ryan was the person Jake had spent years comparing himself to. Yet somehow, Ryan felt exactly the same way, and in that moment, everything clicked. The person Jake envied was envying someone else, and that person was probably envying someone else too. Nobody was arriving. Everybody was chasing, running toward a finish line that didn't exist. A few weeks later, Jake shared everything with an old mentor. The mentor listened carefully, then smiled, and said something Jake would never forget. "Most people think comparison is a ladder. It's actually a prison." Jake frowned. "What do you mean?" The mentor leaned back. "A ladder ends. A prison doesn't. Every time you reach someone else's level, your mind builds another cell." For a long moment, neither of them spoke, because Jake finally understood. The problem was never Ryan. The problem was never social media. The problem was believing that his worth could be measured, because anything that can be measured can always be compared. And anything that is constantly compared will never feel enough. Years later, Jake still had goals, still had dreams, still wanted to grow. But something had changed. He stopped treating life like a scoreboard, because he finally understood something most people never do. The moment you turn your life into a competition, someone will always be winning. And someone will always be you. The feeling of not being enough doesn't come from having too little. It comes from looking too often at what belongs to someone else. There will always be someone richer, someone smarter, someone more successful. But there will never be another you. One day, you'll wake up in a life that your younger self once dreamed about. The question is, will you notice, or will you be too busy looking at someone else's? Because the feeling of being enough was never waiting at the finish line. It was waiting for you to stop measuring your life against everyone else's. So stop looking sideways. Your story is still being written. And trust me, it's not over yet.